Alrighty, I'm live, I think. So, spring is here. It's a little cool today, but it's here. We are going to be doing a bee page. So, I have in the members page, or down below, I believe I put it too, in the description, there's a link to download this traceable, and this is what we're going to be using to do the bee. Now you don't have to do the flowers behind it. If you want to do something totally different, that's up to you. So if you have a bright yellow and white scrapbook paper, tissue paper, that type of thing, also in black and white, you can use that, or we can make our own. So today I think I'm just going to use some plain paper, and I've got my little book of stencils here, and I'm going to use some of these stencils just to make my own colors. And it doesn't have to be a huge amount, because we're just going to be cutting out these little sections here and paste them onto our canvas or whatever it is you're going to put yours on. I'm going to put mine on a piece of watercolor paper. You want something 140 pounds or higher. And this is a block, and I'm going to take it off. Now you could use it on a, what do you call it? If you want to use a file folder, that would be fine. I'm just going to use this. This is 9 by 12. And it's cold pressed. This particular brand, which is called Fluid, it's pretty well the same on both sides. Maybe one side's a little bit smoother than the other. I'm going to use the smoothest side because I'm going to do some doodling on this also. So you want to take just some, I'm going to put this aside for a minute. You want to take some, this is just copy paper, and we're going to do some stenciling on this with some acrylic paint. And we don't need the whole page done. I'm going to just do half of it because there's such small areas that we really don't need a huge page. You can do it if you want to make some other ones, or maybe you want to enlarge your bee and make it a little bit bigger. And I want two of the same color. So let's see. Just 1 minute here. I gotta find my picture again. Okay, so we want, get one more sheet, tear it apart. So I want to do, you don't want a huge big pattern, you want something small because it's a small bee, and you want to have the pattern a little bit smaller to fit the bee. Also, if you have some tissue paper, or I think this right here is actually what do you call it, pattern paper for sewing. So if you have that, that's great. And if the lines or words on the paper show, that's good too. So you can get a little piece of that. We won't need a whole lot of it, but you can get a little piece of that. If you don't have that type of paper, use any type of tissue paper. You could actually even put a little bit of a tea dye on it if you wanted to. So let's start off with the black, and I think I just dropped it. Yeah. You could do sprays too if you want. The only problem with that is it will run. So let's try black and white first. Now this would be really good for the wings if you wanted to do something on the wings. And I'm using the smaller stencils just because of the smaller size on it. This one would be good. You might want to take a few different ones. This lacy one is also a good one. Maybe this one here. Circles, or that would be good. Or a little bit of writing. Music if you wanted to. That's kind of cool because it kind of would look like you enjoy the sound of the bees. Okay, I already have that on that one. Now if you don't have any stencils, you could always use some colored pencils or markers to make your own designs. It's not going to be a perfectly formed design. I want it kind of random. I'm going to take that one out too, and this one. Okay, that's enough. We'll put those away. You can get too bogged down sometimes with colors or stencils and what to pick. I want a nice deep black, so get your black out. Let's see, where did it go? Green. I think this will have to do. Charcoal or black. That's not really, you could even use a, if you have a black gesso, that'll work too. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 of these for the black. And I want to leave some white in there. I don't want to cover it all up, but I want to leave a little bit. So let's put some flowers. So now you could do it too. You could get black paper and stencil on white also. It's up to you. You could also use newspaper and do a stencil over top of it. There's so many ways of going about this. We'll do some of this with black, and then we'll do maybe try some black paper and stencil over that. So let's take some of this black, and I'm just using a craft paint. You can use whatever paint you have. And I'm going to use a makeup sponge to apply this. Let's see. I'll have to get another one, I guess. All right. So just a makeup sponge, one of these wedges. And I'm just, now you could do all kinds of different stencils on one piece of paper if you want. You could make, there's no real rule to doing this. If it's missing parts, that's fine. We're going to be cutting this up or tearing it up, so don't worry too much about it. Let's see, let's try maybe some of these. So I actually have the honeycomb in there, and I could go right over top of parts of this too. So I might only get bits. So it integrates into it. Maybe we'll try some of this. And what else we got here? We have this one of the leaves. Do some of those. Because we're just going to be using bits and pieces of this. So if you put a whole lot on the paper, then you kind of have a choice of what you want to use. So let's do some of this here. I kind of like this patchy part here. Just put some, oh, that just turned into a blob. But it might work for something. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so there's one of them. And so we'll put that aside to dry a little bit. Now let's do another one. And I'm going to do this. Okay, like that. And we have this one here. Do some of that. And there's some polka dots. That. And what else? Maybe a few of these. So I'm not worried about making the perfect stencil mark. I'm going to put some more, maybe a few of these in, the smaller circles, or maybe these. Okay, so there we have that. So let's put that aside. Okay, now what we can do with the other two, where did I put them? There they are. Is we'll do the same thing but with a yellow. So I want a fairly bright yellow, almost on the goldy side. So more of a deeper yellow if you have it. kind of a marigold yellow is what I'm going to use. Put some in there. If you want to do bright yellow, use bright yellow. There's no real wrong way of doing this. I'm just going to cut this sponge and get the old stuff off. Okay, so now I'm going to, you can use the same stencils. I'm going to use this one here. Okay. And maybe some flowers. Where did I put them all? There they are. Let's do some more flower ones here. And maybe some leaves. Let's see. Or dots. I had a little bit of black mixed in that, but I'm not going to worry about that because it will work too. And what do we got here? Maybe some leaves here. It was probably mixed from the stencil itself. Had a bit of leftover wet paint on the stencil, but you just work with it. This is collage, so it'll all work. All right, so we have that one. So I'm going to put that to the side, and then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one with black and with some yellow and white. So a mixture of yellow, black, and white. And I think I'm going to use some more of this one. Maybe just a tad bit more black. Like that. And then maybe some of these. See. and then some polka dots. Okay, like that. Now I'm just going to take a dryer and blow dry this so I can put some yellow without it mixing in. Okay. Now, I'm going to probably, maybe I need a bigger one, a bigger stencil. So I want to have a, let's see what I got here. I might not have what I want in the smaller ones. Might have to get a large stencil out because I want most of this black and this white to show through this yellow. Yeah, I'm going to get a bigger one, bigger stencil. Right with you. I'm just trying to find the stencil. Something organic looking. Well, I guess I could use, I'll use these numbers. It's a mask. I'll see how I can work with this. No, that's not going to work. I need a lot covered. I gotta get a box out. Okay. I want something that's going to cover. I could probably use this as the bigger form of that smaller one I had. That might work. Put that to the side. I want more of an organic look too. That might work because it'll just put a bit of yellow in. I think I'll use this one. Okay. You'll see what I'm doing in a minute. So if you can find a stencil that has a lot of covered area, that's will stop the paint from covering up too much. So the only sections of this will be those cracks. So I just want a hint of the yellow on top of this. You could take a paintbrush too if you wanted to and just paint random areas too. That would work also. I might have to go back over this because yellow, red, orange, those types of colors, anything in the yellow family or red family tend to be very translucent. So sometimes it takes a couple coats before you get what you want in coverage. Maybe you like it kind of that way though. You could just leave it too. It's up to you. I'm going to add probably just a little. I can add a little bit more and then not put some in other areas so that it's two different transparencies going on. Let's see. Now, for those watching the recording, just pause the video in the areas that you're doing if you haven't caught up to where I am. That's the nice thing about watching the video afterwards and playing along, is you're able to just pause the video. Alright, let's see what... Yes, that's exactly what I want. That looks good. Now I can also put in a few polka dots if I want. Or... So I'm thinking of the scale of my bee also. It is fairly small. I think I'll put a few of these in, just here and there. They can be a little bit on the transparent side. I'm not going to go over them again. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now I have 4 different have these collage papers. Now if you want, you can also, let's take one of these and add a little bit more black to it. So one's kind of half and half. This one's half and half. So let's add a little bit more black to this. So we can take either just your sponge, although this will have a definite square print, so it's always good to use a... See, I already have that, so I don't have any of this, so let's put some of this in. And this will give me a little bit more of a blacker area than white. So it'll be different than the other one. The other one's kind of half black, half white. Don't worry if you think you're getting too much black on it, because So we're going to go back over top of this with some white. We'll dry it. And I can just take my sponge now and just blotch out a little more just with my sponge. I just want, not necessarily the pattern of the stencil, but I just want texture, color differences. Okay. So now we can dry that, and we'll add some white to it. Okay, now the white, I want to have that just more of a fine line look. So if you have smaller type, even words like this here would work. Now you could put it backwards so you can't read it, but because we still have white in here, there's more than likely we won't see it, or you can put it on an angle or move it around as you're doing it. So you want another sponge, clean one. And I have some titanium white. And I don't have to do all of the word either. I can just make sure I'm on the there. Okay, so there's the difference. So here's our papers. So see the difference? This is more white or black. This is more white. And then we have one that's just the yellow. And then we have the yellow, black, and the white. So that's what I want you to get ready for your collage. If you are using the scrapbook paper, if you have only black and white, you could always add the paint on top of the scrapbook paper. That'll work also. Or black paper and just use your stencil, or scribble some lines, make some flowers, just doodle on it. That's all you need to do. Okay, so we'll put those aside, and now we want to take our traceable aside. Okay, we have our traceable here, and what I want you to do, we're going to be doing our doodling first. So if you want to use this doodle, you can do that. If you have a Uh, I know there's a stencil out of the bee hexagon shape for the honeycomb shape. You could do it in bits and pieces of that. If you want just different types of flowers, I'm just doodling. So you can use these if you want. And just take your paper, your tracing paper, in black or gray. Let's see, I know I have one here somewhere. Where did I put it? Put it up. Oh, there it is. Okay, this one's gray. So I'm going to trace all of this instead of taking the time to do it on my own. And I'm going to put it pretty well in the center, and then I always tape mine down just so that it doesn't move on me. So I just tape it with washi tape. You can use whatever you have. And I like to tape both sides so it doesn't move on me. Alright. And then just take a pen of some sort and start tracing. And we can go back over these doodles with a pen. So you want them fairly accurate, depending on the tissue paper that, or not tissue, the traceable paper that you're using. I use the, what's it called, Sorel? Yeah, Sorel, and it's non-wax traceable paper, so it's easier to erase. But sometimes you can't get it all off. So it's always best to do a fairly neat job so that when you go over it with a pen, it's not going to look messy. So take your time, enjoy the process, and just doodle however you want to do it. You don't have to use this particular flower. You could do your own. You could do a Zentangle too on it if you wanted to. I'm really liking that lately. I like to use a colored pen, that way I can see if I've missed anything. Now these flowers here could be lantana, or it could be lavender. They're very similar in shape. So it'll take a little bit of time doing this, but I really like the look of a sketch done in pen or whatever with a painted item, so that there's not just pen. It's a mix of sketching and painting. I think it's really attractive. I really like that. And the bee looks really cool because of the collage on it, so that's another texture that you're adding to it. So it's got a lot of interest for the viewer. And it's fun to do. So you can actually draw the bee also, draw the whole thing, and that way we know where to put our papers. So as you're going, trace the bee into. It's a nice big leaf up here. This is when you kind of zone out, forget about everything. If you're watching the replay, you could just skip ahead, or you can work along. That wind is just blowing out my window. We've got wind warnings today. Crazy weather in the world. Poor birds, they're not sure what's going on. I do have a little dotted line, and that's just to indicate where my the bee body is. So we're gonna actually go past those wings with the collage, and then the wings are going to sit on top of the collage. So you can put those dotted lines in just so you know where everything is. I'm just going to put lines basically where the different colors of the bee are. I'm not going to do all those squiggles because they're going to be covered up anyways. So I'm just going to do a shape of where they are. A little antennae. And they'll be painted on. Let's put these flowers in. We're almost done. Getting there. Like I tell most of my students, it's all about the process, not necessarily the finished product. It's, for me and a lot of artists, it's about the doing. So if you can manage to get into that zone of enjoying the present moment that you're in while you're arting, you'll find doing art a whole lot easier and less stressful because you're not worried about finishing in a hurry. Because as soon as you start hurrying, you start doing things quicker, therefore making shortcuts of doing things, or giving up things that you would have done if you had took your time. So just, you don't have to do this in a day or an hour or 2 hours. You can take the whole week if you wanted to. Just enjoy it. And you'll be very, very surprised on the difference of the look of your art when you do that. Because then you're actually in the moment of creation, and that's when the best ideas come your way, when there's nothing else in your mind but what you're doing that moment. You get all kinds of ideas. It's very relaxing. And I think everybody can stand for a little bit of relaxing time and de-stressing nowadays. So what a good practice to do. And just a few little grass here, and then we're done. I think I got it all. So I'll just lift my page without disturbing. Take a look. Yep, looks pretty good. And then I'll just remove it. Now, we can take this photocopy that you have of the bee. If you want to make 2 copies, that would be a good idea too, because you can actually use 1 copy to cut, or so you know exactly the shapes so that you're not trying to figure out where everything is. Now with the saran tracing paper, you'll see there's a few dirty areas. See this here? But that can be erased with an eraser. Let's see if I got my eraser out here. I don't know where I put it. Let's see. Clean this one. I just erase on a piece of wood to clean my eraser, because you don't want to transfer any dark gunge. See? Then it's clean on the end. And then just erase. If you see some blotchy areas. You can also just erase everything once we put the lines in. So I want to put my lines in now. So if you have a fairly large nib, you want a permanent marker. Let's see. If you have a brush pen and you like using those, you could use that too. So it always looks awesome to see the different, that's too small. Let's see what I got here. Too small. Thought I had. There's a one. Nope. Two. I have so many. Oh, there we go. So this is a 0.5. So now what I'm going to do is do my doodling of all this stuff, so I don't have to keep this transfer on here. So now you want to just again go back over all your stuff and start putting your ink marks, your lines in. And this is when you can start doing, if you want to do some extra shading or more lines in things, this is when you can do that. Cross hatching. A lot of people like doing cross hatching. But you do want a waterproof marker. This is a microperm, and they're by Sakura. They're a great marker. You can write on anything with these markers, and they're permanent. And I've never had a problem with them. And they're about the same price as your Sharpie pens markers. I believe I got mine on Amazon. And you can get them in a whole bunch of different pen nib widths. So just take your time and do some doodles. Now you don't have to follow the line of your that you made with your tracing paper. You can always do dots and dashes. That kind of looks nice. in pen work too, or make some areas a little bit thicker, or maybe you've decided to not put some lines in certain areas. That works also. You just play with it. This is how you learn. As artists, you never stop learning. There's always something new to try and experiment with your style. So just play. Play and have a relaxing time. This would be great if you're someone that likes to do stuff outside, sit in the porch, balcony, whatever you have, and just do your doodles. Get a big book to set it on, or if you have one of those computer lap things, they're great. You can just use that to set it down on. Don't rush, just enjoy it. Once you start erasing this too, you'll see more areas maybe you want to touch up. You can do that later. We'll put the B on before we do that though, just to get this started so you know what to do. It's fun though. I really enjoy sketching, and especially doing it in a sketchbook. It's your own private sketchbook. You don't have to show anybody. It's just for you to lose yourself in art, to enjoy. Or maybe you're the type of person that likes a challenge. I love to challenge myself by trying new things that I haven't tried before, and see if I can do it. And sometimes I've had to try it a few times before I get it right, but you learn each time you're doing it. It's like inventors. They do it hundreds and hundreds of times before they get just the right thing done. But they never give up. You just keep trying. See. very meditative, I find. Put some nice music on. Get a nice cup of tea or coffee or wine or whatever you want. Just relax. Enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoy this type of art. If you got any suggestions or questions, just put them in the comments, or you can always get a hold of me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Kathy Arbor. Same everywhere. And you can get a hold of me, message me, whatever. And I'll try and get right back to you as soon as I can. The bee's knees. I might go back in here, maybe do a little bit of shading with graphite or charcoal even. You can always set charcoal, or I could even add a little bit of watercolor. This is watercolor paper, so I could really mix it up and do the shading with a watercolor in gray or whatever. That would look kind of cool. But you definitely want your doodling done before you start doing your collage, because you don't want to mess up this tracing. If you have Indian ink too, you could do it with a nib. That would look really awesome. I haven't done a lot of nib work. I would like to. Is that something you guys would like to try? Let me know. I don't know if you can hear my windy day out there. It sure is blowing. Okay, just a little bit more and then we can do the bee. Trying to figure out how these flowers are going. They're kind of a trumpet shape. I have to keep remembering we're looking at a micro, what do they call it, micro photograph of something. So we're looking close up at a bee, so naturally the flowers would be gigantic looking. I think that one's there. That. Throat of that one. Kind of lose the perspective of the flower when you're this close up. Let's put the bee knees in. I think that's it. I'm not going to do the wings or the body of the bee right now in the ink. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just give this a little shot of heat from my heat gun to dry the ink. And then I'm going to take that eraser and I'm going to start erasing. The white erasers or a kneaded eraser will work best for you because it doesn't really wreck the paper because it's fairly soft. So if you can find them, don't use the pink ones. They tend to leave a mark. I prefer this type of eraser when I'm doing large areas, and they're fairly inexpensive. I think you can even get them at the dollar store. And it just cleans up the areas and makes it look nice and crisp once you're done. Okay, oh, there, here. All right, looks good. So there's, see how nice and crisp it looks afterwards? Now I can go back in later and thicken, you know, thicken up, shade, that type of thing. But we'll do the bee first. So we're going to start off with the furthest parts of the body. So you take a look at it, the wings are overlapping most of the body. And the bee's kind of curved. When they sit on a flower, they kind of are curved in a way. So the eyes are going to be sitting on top of the head. So we'll do the head first, and then we'll either paint the bee eyes on, or you can use paper. It's up to you. So I want to do some tearing. So a lot of this is going to be torn edges. I just like, because they're fuzzy, you kind of want that. So this here area, if you want, you can just tear, or you can actually cut out the bee and the shapes and use it that way. But it's kind of hard to tear with two types of paper. So I'm just gonna, this is when you're gonna need matte medium. I prefer matte medium. If you have gloss, you can use gloss. And you just kind of have to judge the shape. I'm not going for exact. If it's off, that's fine. This can take a little while to do this, but it really looks awesome when it's done. So there's my bee head. So I'm going to get a container here, put some matte medium on it. And matte medium, where did I put that? Just so. Oh, there it is. Oh, I gotta bang it on the floor. Stuck. There we go. And I'm just gonna put a dab on my, oh, that's why I need, that's why I need the squeeze bottle. Oh my God. Golden, you need to get a squeeze bottle. Thank goodness I can just wipe it down. Maybe they do that on purpose. Oh, yeah, buy more. Who knows? I'm gonna put some back. I don't need that much. It's a tiny bee. There. All good. Accident. fixed. I need to clean that edge off. Put it over here. Where did I put my bee head? Oh, I lost my bee head. Oh dear, it's not good start. Well, let's make another. We got lots. Okay. Learn by my mistakes, guys. Okay, there's the bee head. I'm gonna take out an area for the eyeballs. Okay. Just put it down. Baby wipes. You want baby wipes to clean your hands off as much as possible. You can brush it down with the baby wipe. All right, the next one is a yellow. So I think I'm going to use just the yellow and white one, and it's in quite a shape. It's like a circular shape. You could use your pencil too if you want to do this. Let's see. Maybe here. Would that work? Let's see. So I'm just going to tear around that area that I marked. You could draw the bee out if you wanted to on this, the areas with the tracing paper too, if you want to do that, if you want to be really, really precise. But I don't think it's necessary. I kind of like it when it's a little wonky looking. And yeah, down here. And then across here. Now I could just lay this whole piece down because we're working from back to front, and this is basically the size that we'll need. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my, I should have a smaller brush, but I don't see it anywhere. I'll just take this. I'm going to take some, and if you put it on the paper and the watercolor paper, then you'll know it's going to stick really well. And then go over top of it with some matte medium also. You got time to play with it. There. Okay. Next is the little ball area, and that's going to be black and white also. And you can either do it in this one or this one. It doesn't really matter. I think I'm going to do it different because I don't want it the same. So use your, let's see, I think I'm going to use part of that, or maybe this. I kind of like this area here. So if you tear it away from you, you don't end up with that white edge that you can get. Okay, so that, like that. You just kind of have to tear it as you go. Right there. Into a round circle, kind of. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. And then that will fit over top. Let's see, do I want it like that? Sure. And you just put more matte medium on that area and on the paper, and then stick it down over top. So I'm leaving a little bit of the yellow showing, like that. And we'll go over with a little bit of paint also. So now the next one is going to be the yellow. I think I'm going to do this one here. Or do I want that? You could always make it more concentrated by adding more paint too. Okay, so remember we did the dotted lines. This is where we want to put those colors, where those dotted lines are. So bring your paper right over to that area. So let's see if this will work. So I want it right in here. Actually, I should have done that before I did the other. I should have done this one last. Live and learn. Okay, so that goes up to here, like that, and that to here. So I'm going to make it a little rounded. Don't want corners. Take some of that white edge off. Kind of like that. Can I? No, I can't. I could just make it a little rounder, inside round area there by where the black circle is. Now, if you haven't done yours yet, do this piece last. I wasn't thinking. Should have done that last. Okay, that'll do. So I'm going right over the wings because the wings are going to be put on later. Okay. That. And the next one's going to be black, and I want some of this. Actually, I'm going to take that off before I should do that. I'm going to put, yeah, I'm going to put this on first. I'm doing the same thing as I told you not to do. Sorry. Okay, so yellow, black, yellow. So I'm going to put this on the bottom here. And it's going to go right around like this. You could do little pieces too. There's no wrong way of doing this. You just have to play. So that goes up. To here. Okay, so if I put that there on that dotted edge of the line, that'll work. And then I'll work my way up. So do the last one before you do all the other layers. And then we can just put it right over top. There. Like that. And then a black one. And that one is this one here. So let's see. And we want to follow the edge too. So let's see. That. Like that. And then I'll have to take it up a little bit. That's good. Okay, this one needs to be torn there. That should work. Don't need all of that though. All right. one. And this goes down here, like so. And then that piece that I had, I can put that. Oh, I need one more. These. Okay, that goes up. So I'm just tearing along the line where it goes into the body. You can always use more paint. So if you think things aren't as noticeable, you can always, we will be painting more on this too, so there. Actually, I think I need to put a little bit right there. I think that was too, there. Okay. So there it is so far. See, we just used hardly any collage, really. Now I want to dry this, so give this a really good dry. All right, now we can take, I'm going to put that aside, some of that black paint that we had. Let's see. And if you have a rake brush or a bristle brush of some sort, small, you could also take a fairly small angled brush, or matter of fact even a small round would do. You'll just have to do more stroke work. So let's see. I think what I'll do is show you using the round brush right now. I'm going to put the eyes in, and I want them to be black. And they will go over the collage of the black part in the beginning. So So you want a fairly good coat. And you can also do the antenna here. Okay. And, oh, his knees. Beanies. They're right here. And I'm going to go over part of that wing. There's a little bit of a wing overlapping it. You can go over that too. And there's the other one right there. Now, don't go into the collage too much because it's kind of that part overlaps his little knees. Let's see. All right. Now we had some white on our tray here, so I want to use, I think, the rake brush. So if you have one of those, I'll show you in a minute. Just let me find it. It's in here somewhere. I put it out. Oh, I wonder if I left it upstairs. I'll use a bristle, I guess. I can do it the same way. So I'm going to take my bristle brush and just put some on the end of it. Not a lot. And then right where this black and white area is, right on the edge, I want you to flick some of the black into that yellow above it. So it's kind of hairy looking. They are a little fuzzy. Not too long though, just short hairs. And then just lightly go in a little bit with it too. So that kind of gives you a shadowed look of the body. So it gives it a little bit of a shading effect. And then you want to do the same with this part and go towards the yellow and white area. And then just work your way in. Okay, you see? And then you just, as you get into the center, it's more dry brushing than anything else, just to shade that so it looks like it's got dimension. So it's a little more black along the edges, and you work that into the sides also, so it gives it a little bit of shading like that. And then on the head too, they have a little bit of fuzz on their head, so just on the just slightly put a few little streaks there too, little fuzzies coming out. Looks cute. And you can do a little bit around the outer edge right here and work your way in the dark black and white areas. Because they would be fuzzies sticking out. Just all around. And then we'll do the yellow part also. Maybe some white. Work it into the sides a little bit too, like you did in this part, because we want to show that there's a little bit more shape to this bee body, so it would be a little more condensed in that black color, more shading along the sides and the very bottom where the body curves. Okay, and rinse your brush off, clean it off really good, and then we'll put some either yellow or white. Let's try some yellow, see what it looks like. We can always go back and use white instead if it doesn't look right. So along here, flick it out. Kind of hard doing the yellow because it's so transparent. I'm going to add a little bit of white to my yellow to give it a little bit more opaqueness. That should help. Yeah, that's better. It's hard going over the black when it's like that. And let's see, down here, So wherever the yellow is, you can flick some in there. Maybe over his little knees a little bit. Remember, his body's curved, so you're going to see this curving. Too much. I'm going to add a little bit of black to that too. Just add here and there. There. And then this part here, right here, we could add a little bit more on the grayish side. So add some black to that. Depending on your papers will depend on what you put in. So let's see, I'm going to add a little more, kind of a dirty grayish color in the black areas, because you're not going to see the yellow on there. So I'm going to add just a little bit of hairs in that kind of a grayish color, but light enough that it can be seen on the black. So it's here. If you put too much, you can always go back over it with whatever color it was that you put too much over. So I'm going to add a little bit of black in here. White. You just have to play with it till you get it the way you want it to look. I think I need a little bit of yellow on the bottom part here. Just a smidgen more. So, and just very lightly applying pressure to this. Okay. One more there. I might have to let this dry before I add another coat. And then I'll put some more black over that. Okay, let's dry that. You could even take little pieces of your collage paper too and just glue on there. Let's see. I want a little bit more yellow, so let's take a little bit of this here. Black. Just make a kind of like a half moon, just to put in that one little area. And my matte medium. And we can just stick it in there. There. That's better. And just put a little bit more of that on. Make sure it's good and down. And then dry that. Right, now what we're going to do is, I'm noticing as I'm looking at this, my pen, there it is, I'm going to put anything that should be where the bees wing is overlapped. I'm just going to extend whatever I see into that. So like this here, it's a stem. Maybe that goes over there, because we're going to put a tissue over top of this now. So we would actually see those things through the bee's wing. So if you have any of this tissue paper, or this is from a pattern, clothing pattern, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a corner and I'm going to actually see how long I want it. And I want wrinkles in it, so I'm just going to glue down part of it. So I'm just looking to see how far I want it. So I'm going to trace where I'm going to cut it. So I don't want it really long. Take your I want that shape, but I'm going to make it wider because I want to put some folds in it. So make a fold like this. So see, that's the shape. So you follow the line down here, but make it quite a bit wider. and then you just make a dart. That's what we call it in dressmaking. So you fold it over like this. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue from here. I'm just going to take some of that glue, so on my finger, from where it starts out, and I'm going to put a line down. I'm not going to put it on the whole thing, just down the center. And then I'm going to place this tissue wrap on that. So it's just part of it being put down. And then I'll put a little bit just to hold it down there. And then you want to do the same on the other side. So put your tissue down, figure out where it attaches, so it's about right there, and then take your pen and draw, or if it's the right, that's almost the right size there. So then I just make a curve, and then I bring it out like that, up. It's almost like a triangle in a way, but you want a fair amount of tissue so you can fold it. Okay, so it'll be like that, and then that might not be even enough. Let's see, I might have made it too skimpy. Let's see. That might work. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. We'll take some more, put it down the center, place your paper down the way you want it, and then you can put a little bit in here, so it's just a dab. And I'm going to put a little bit on the corners here so they stay down. There. You see? So it's 3D. I think it looks cute. Okay, so now what we can do is take some white, and we'll add a little bit of a highlight on the eye. So if you have that Posca marker, you could use that. I think I do have a Posca. There it is. And just add, probably like that. And then I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight on here too. And maybe on his knee. Let's see. Right there. What else can we do here? I think that's about it. If you want, you could do some flowers on here or doodle more. make a little more bright. Maybe some more in here. Then take a black. And you could always do circles on top of the just make it yours. If you like it just the way it is, then just leave it. Just kind of separates them. Maybe I'll put a few more hairs in there. Maybe in here. Okay. So just make it yours. Okay, so now what we can do is you can leave it as it is. If you like it the way it is, then just leave it that way. If you want to add more line work to this, you can. Or you could do some shading. It all depends on how much detail you want. Now, if I were to shade any of this, it would probably be the underneath of some of the flowers, or maybe you could either do it as cross-hatching, or you could go in with a colored pencil. I would probably stick to the black or white, or maybe a gray. Let me think. I think I'll just do a little bit of line work and I'll show you, and I'll leave it up to you whether you want to go ahead and do this. Now these are flowers, so this is the tube and then the flower is on top. So maybe we would have lines going up the tube part, so it would be more concentrated on the bottom, which would give it shadow. That looks kind of cool. Let's see, did I paste? No. So anywhere where there's tubes, I could do that. And you could, wherever they're overlapping, maybe they'd be a little bit darker. Like that. And this one here. Trying to recognize here, this one here. So go the shape of the tube. This one's a little bit rounder. So you make your lines in the shape of how that would be going for that particular flower. A little more concentration of pen work in around areas that would be shadowed. This one looks like it would be turning under a little bit, so there'd be a little bit more shading under there. And same with it right here, where this is part of flower on the top. So let's see. There's the hole, so I could actually do that, and then this here would be shadowed. So I'm just going in one direction. And that there would be shadowed. I think this is another one here. Or is it? Don't know. This here is part of that inside. Goes down into the throat of the flower. Same with this one here. It's part of the flower where it goes down, so it'll be darker. This is a big one here. So as you go around the sides of flowers, it might be a little bit shaded. So a little more concentration of ink, depending on the shape. Here's another one of those tubes. And there's one in here too, I think. This is one. So this may be all you need just to show how there's flowers. But sometimes when it's just an outline, it's kind of hard to tell what it is. This one here. That's that tube too. A bit more shading underneath the petals of those top flower petals. This is a form of cross hatching. There's many different styles of cross hatching. If you're interested in it, let me know. We could always do some drawing showing that. There would be dark. And here. And let's see, how's this one going? There's one there. It's the center of the flower. I'm just going to put a little bit of shading in this one, right in here, and under here, I think, just to show that that leaf is overlapping something. And here. That one you wouldn't see. Maybe in here. This would be overlapped. Shadow in there. So I'm just following the outline of the petal. I think this is going to be, I can't figure out what this is. I might have to change that. I think this is a bud. Be darker on the bottom because it's actually kind of a cylinder shape. That's there. It's covering a branch. It just gives you a little bit of a indication of what's what. Because a lot of times, especially in real tight clusters of flowers, it's kind of hard to figure out where everything is.